friend of mine on Facebook this last week asked about what is it that his friends, he was asking all of his friends, what do you know about that most people don't know much about? And I thought, well, cult recovery, coercive persuasion, authoritarian groups, kind of negative stuff, right? And I thought, that's what I know more than, and of course, Scientology. But, at this point, who cares about Scientology? It's not like anybody's going to be asking me for the, in a really interested social manner, how do you do that auditing anyway? Or, what is an ARC break? Or any, then nobody cares. But instead, what was so great about my friend is he said, well, in response to me saying that, he said, well, what would be a piece of advice that you might give people based on all the things that you have learned and know about this? And I thought, wow, what a great question. And here's what I wrote. The one trick most people can most easily apply, which will save them endless amounts of grief, is simply this. When making any truly important or life-altering decisions on any matter of any kind, wait. Just wait. Just wait a while, like at least a couple days. It would be best if people would use that time to research more or find out the counter-arguments, quote unquote, or for what it is they feel like they want to do. But the added time will automatically dissipate a lot of the emotional investment of the heat of the moment, so they don't impulsively do something because it, quote unquote, feels right. There's a lot going on under the hood with all this, but wait is the single best piece of advice I could give anyone on anything. If the thing you want or the idea you have is truly so great, it will still be just as great in a couple days. And you've then given yourself time to chill and really think about the unintended consequences of your decision before you make it. All right, so I think that's pretty good long-term advice on just about anything. So let's talk about where, of course, I was thinking about this contextually because obviously, this sort of advice has a lot to do with big decisions, but when are we put in positions where we have to make big decisions and there's some kind of time pressure element or financial economic pressure element? Well, generally speaking, we get into those kind of things when we're in a sales cycle of some kind, where somebody's trying to sell us something, or somebody's trying to convince us of something that we might not be so convinced of, or something like that, and they're trying to push something off on us. If someone is saying, now or never, 100% of the time, say never. Because here's the thing, when somebody's putting those kind of constraints on you, they're doing it for a reason, and those reasons don't have to do with your best interests. And let's think about this for a second. Let's talk about it. Really, this now or never approach, and there are 1,000 variations on it. They are limited time offers, buy now, today only. Those kind of things. Or you're only going to be able to get it at this price today. Right? Well, we're all out of stock. This is the last one. There's no more available. They somehow create a scarcity, or they create the idea in you that if you do not act now, you might lose this opportunity, this chance to buy this thing or acquire this thing or somehow obtain what it is that you're trying to obtain. This is not just for financial situations or places where you're going to be trading money. This has to do with relationships, any kind of relationship. This has to do with work situations. This is really pretty broadly applicable stuff. And that business about how it creates a scarcity, or a threat of loss. Now, if you think about that for a second, look at what's going on up here as a result of that kind of talk. Here you are having a normal, nice conversation with somebody, and suddenly there's this pressure element. But why is it pressure? Because what happens when you are presented with this, oh my God, it might be gone, oh, I might lose this, it's threat of loss. It's literally kicks in a kind of panic mode in your mind, in your brain, right? And that's being done on purpose. Because when we start kicking in those, when that part of the brain, let's say, kicks in, and we'll find out more about that a little bit later in the podcast, what part of the brain. But when that part kicks in, you are now responding to a threat. Of course, our brains are tuned 3 times harder to look for, watch for, be aware of, and respond and react to threats than it is tuned to look for positives. So that need that becomes generated within us to respond and act now, it's actually a reciprocal thing. This artificial threat is created. We respond to it with urgency because that's how we're designed to act when we're faced with a threat or a loss or a threat of loss of some kind. Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. And that's what those sales guys are trying to do, is they're literally trying to kind of kick in your fight or flight, oh my God, I must do this kind of impulse, response. This isn't the same thing, by the way, as impulse buying. It's related, but it's different. I'm talking here about these situations where, there's some kind of artificial threat or loss being created, okay? Because, this is done all the time in cult recruitment, which of course is why I bring it up in the first place.